Unfortunately, many murders remain unsolved. When the police have no evidence, witnesses, or suspects, finding the culprit becomes practically impossible. But sometimes it happens that crimes are solved after many years. This is a story about how even the most hopeless case can be solved decades later. A student left university and disappeared. The next day her body was found in her own car. The police had no leads or slightest understanding of who could be the killer. And only after 47 years did the whole world learn the name of the perpetrator. Sad statistics state that many murders remain unsolved when the police have no evidence, witnesses, or suspects, making it almost impossible to find the guilty party. Sometimes this leads innocent people behind bars, but more often than not, cases simply go cold for a long time, until occasionally crimes are solved after whole decades pass by. Of course, in such cases it does not help the victim anymore, but the perpetrator may face punishment. And most importantly, loved ones of the deceased will finally be relieved from heavy burden of ignorance. Such a case happened to Pamela Milam, a 19-year-old student at Indiana State University in USA. Pamela was born into a prosperous family of Charles and Helen Milam in Terre Haute, Indiana State. She had a happy and bright childhood with no worries or anxieties, as her sisters Charlene and Sheila were always by her side. By genetic lawfulness, everyone in this family wore glasses. After school, she wanted to become an English teacher, inspired by teachers at Honey Creek High School in Terre Haute. Pamela studied to become an English language teacher while working part-time at college library, and was known as very talented and versatile girl. Sheila followed her example and completed first year at same college. The sisters had many mutual friends at Sid McAppa sorority house, although they On September 15, 1972, university students gathered in the dormitory, where they were having a good time. Pamela left her dormitory to move her car. She told her friends that she would be back in a few minutes. The friends continued to have fun. They never waited for Pamela, but didn't think anything bad of it. The guys decided that the girl had changed her mind and went home. No one saw her alive again. At first, no one suspected anything suspicious. Friends thought that Pamela simply went home. Pamela lived in a house with her parents and younger sister Sheila in the town of Terre Haute, and only came to the dormitory to spend time with friends. The next morning, she did not show up for work, which she combined with studying. This worried her parents. Pamela always took her responsibilities very seriously. This worried their parents as well. Pamela always approached his duties extremely responsibly. By this time, Pamela's friends also began to worry. On the same day, the girl's friends noticed that her Pontiac Lemon's car. It was parked just 1 block away from where she left it before coming on campus. The students immediately noticed something strange. Pamela's glasses were lying on the dashboard, but there was no sign of the girl herself. They all knew that she had poor eyesight and could not go anywhere without glasses. They called her family home, and soon father arrived at scene with his youngest daughter carrying spare set of keys. Of course, it is understandable for parents who are concerned about their missing daughter. But when they discovered her car, it should have been reported to police. They tried to find answers themselves. There was a high probability of spoiling potential evidence which could help in finding their daughter. In any case, he was never destined to see Pamela live. Opening the trunk, the man saw the worst sight in his life. Pamela lay there with her hands tied behind her back, a rope around her neck, and her mouth was taped shut. There were traces of dirt and leaves on her clothes and body. This event shocked not only the parents, but also all the university students. The girl was going to leave the dormitory for just a few minutes, and no one could even think that something would happen to her. Moreover, friends described Pamela as a calm, kind girl who never had conflicts with anyone. Whoever the criminal was, he definitely could had a personal motive against Pamela. Everyone was in shock. Grieving parents, friends, the university students where the girl studied. It was impossible to understand why she was killed, because Pamela was a calm, friendly person. Motives for the crime were absent. Pamela led an honest life. She had no enemies. She did nothing bad to anyone. The police questioned all acquaintances and friends of Pamela, but everyone said that she did not have any conflicts with anyone. Having reconstructed the chronology of events, the police only knew that Pamela had left the dormitory building for a few minutes to move her car. During this time, someone presumably attacked her. It was unknown whether the girl was acquainted with the criminal, or if Pamela became a random victim. The police began a thorough investigation, but failed to find any useful evidence or witnesses. The lead detective insisted on collecting soil samples and other traces that covered the girl's body. At that time, it was absolutely useless, as no laboratory in the world could conduct DNA tests with such evidence. However, the detective made this decision with an eye towards future scientific advancements and turned out to be right. It is quite common practice to keep evidence that is currently useless. Nobody knows when they might finally play their role. The police reconstructed the events of that evening, attempted to identify suspects, but it was all in vain. They literally had nothing to hold on to. Soon enough, the police gave up, as there was nothing to work with. Later on, a version emerged suggesting that Robert Wayne Austin could have killed the girl. He was arrested several weeks after Pamela's death. He committed several attacks on campus grounds, but without fatal outcomes. Believing his involvement, the police calmed down. 36 years passed by, and Sean Keena became chief of police. He immediately assigned each subordinate one cold case. Not wanting to remain idle, he decided to investigate Pamela's murder himself. The details of this crime were so ingrained in Sheriff Keena's mind that he started investigating not only at work, but also during his free time. Firstly, he conducted DNA tests on samples collected in 1972 and compared them with Robert Austin's data. No matches were found. This meant that Austin had no connection whatsoever to this case. The investigation dragged on for 11 long years, but Chief Keena did not intend to give up. There remained only one piece of evidence related to Pamela in the storage. Either its examination would bear fruit, or the case would be closed forever. Keena made a difficult decision and sent it to Parabon Nano Labs, one of the leading laboratories for DNA research and genetic ancestry reconstruction. Researchers managed to link the DNA from the sample with its owner's distant cousin, after which they collected samples from several more relatives. Keena interrogated them all, and soon found the main suspect, Jeffrey Henda. Unfortunately, he had already passed away by that time. However, the detective conducted a DNA test and obtained long-awaited confirmation the samples matched. At the time of committing the crime, Henda was 23 years old. He was parsing through Terre Haute for work. He worked as a delivery person for audio cassettes and traveled between 2 states. In his past, he lived in this town and was familiar with the university campus. Upon arrival there, he did not arouse any suspicions or questions from anyone. His simple, slightly eccentric appearance coincided with that of students his age. Therefore, no one remembered him when police were searching for Pamela's killer. We will never know how events unfolded that evening. Perhaps he simply saw a student girl and attacked her, but one thing we can know for sure is that this was far from his only crime. The maniac did not stop there. Less than a year later, he picked up a couple who were trying to hitchhike home from Chicago. Instead, he took them to a deserted place, pulled out a gun, and demanded money. Not the smartest move considering the fact that his passengers were even saving money on the bus. When the robber was told that they had no money, he took them to a grain warehouse and locked them in there. Hen's plan was very strange. He wanted to hold the couple until he received ransom. Later, for some reason, he changed his mind and took the husband into a wooded area where he killed him. The autopsy showed that first the man was shot in the head, then stabbed 8 times in the chest and throat slit. Meanwhile, his wife managed to escape from the warehouse and call for help. The police immediately arrested Henda, but here's an unfortunate thing. Court declared him insane, and instead of real sentence sent him to correctional facility for 2 years. After 2 years, Jeffrey was released from clinic and returned to his old ways again. However, enjoying freedom after release didn't last long for him. In 1978, he attempted to abduct a woman in parking lot of shopping center, but at that moment passing by policemen noticed it not while on duty. Seeing what was happening, he shouted something at Henda from afar, and Henda started running away. The policeman chased after him while calling for backup. At this time, Henda apparently decided to increase chances in race with officer, so opened fire on him. One bullet grazed Officer, but it didn't prevent him from reaching for his own gun, and his shot turned out fatal. The criminal died shortly afterwards in hospital at age of 29. Learning about Keller's fate, Pamela's family faced conflicting feelings. On one hand, they regretted that criminal would no longer face any punishment. On the other hand, they were glad that Henda failed to live long life. Moreover, his early death possibly helped protect other potential victims. However, the family and police are still troubled by one question: is he involved in any other murders? Perhaps we will get an answer to this question after another leap in development of forensic science. Hen's track record clearly indicates a predisposition to serial crimes. It is obvious that this person was mentally unstable and committed his crimes instinctively as soon as he saw an opportunity. In the case of Pamela, luck helped him evade justice. Hen was lucky that no one saw him, and there were no clues pointing to him. However, this story vividly demonstrates to us that even the most hopeless cases can be solved. The absence of evidence does not guarantee a criminal escape from responsibility, and justice can catch up with them at any moment.